Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine standing in a storm, wind howling, rain pouring so hard you can barely see your own hands. You're holding on to an umbrella, but every gust feels like it's about to rip it away. Now here's the question. What do you hold on to when life feels like that storm? What do you do when nothing makes sense? When doors slam shut? When prayers seem unanswered? When people you trusted walk away? See, family, this is where trusting God becomes more than a churchy phrase. It's not about shouting, "I trust God," on Sunday and then doubting Him by Monday. Trusting God is choosing to believe that His plan is better than your pain. It's holding on when you don't understand, when it feels unfair, when it feels delayed, when it feels impossible. And let me tell you something. Every season of your life has a purpose. Spring brings growth, summer brings fruit, fall brings change, and winter brings stillness. But in every single season, God is working. In spring, He's planting. In summer, He's strengthening. In fall, He's pruning. And in winter, He's preparing. And if you let Him, He'll take every single season and use it to shape the destiny inside of you. Some of you are in a winter season right now. It feels cold. It feels silent. It feels like nothing is moving. But winter is not death. It's preparation. Roots grow deepest in winter. Some of you are in a fall season. You're losing friendships, losing opportunities, losing comfort zones. But fall isn't failure, it's pruning. God is cutting away what you don't need so you can carry what He's about to give. And when you trust Him, really trust Him, you'll see that every season is sacred. You'll see that rejection was redirection. You'll see that delay was development. You'll see that loss was setting you up for greater. Trust isn't about seeing the outcome. It's about believing that the one who holds your life already knows the outcome. So no matter the season, rain or shine, joy or sorrow, gain or loss, you can stand tall and declare, God, I don't just trust you in the good days. I trust you in every day, in every season, because I know you never fail. Would you like me to expand this into a longer sermon style flow with more storytelling and crowd engagement energy like Pastor Mike? Jer really delivers, or keep it as a tight 3D 4-minute spoken word style message. You know what's wild? Anybody can say, I trust God when the bills are paid, when the doctor says you're healthy, when friends are clapping for you. That's easy. But trust doesn't get tested on the mountain. Trust gets tested in the valley. Trust isn't proven when the sun is shining. It's proven when the storm is raging. Think about it. Peter didn't learn trust when he was sitting in the boat. He learned trust when the waves were high and Jesus said, step out. That's when trust gets real. And that's the tension. Family, can you trust God when it feels like life is falling apart? Can you trust Him when the promotion passes you by, when the healing doesn't happen overnight, when you pray and heaven feels silent? Real trust is not about your feelings. It's about your foundation. Feelings shift like the wind, but your foundation is the Word of God, and His Word says He'll never leave you, never forsake you, never fail you. So even when it hurts, even when it's confusing, even when you're scared, you can stand in the middle of that storm and say, I don't understand it, but I still trust Him. See, here's what I've learned. Life is seasonal. And the problem is we love summer, but we don't want winter. We love spring, but we don't want fall. But every season carries something sacred. Spring is where God plants new ideas, new relationships, new opportunities. You start to see green shoots breaking the soil. Then comes summer. That's when things blossom, doors open, blessings overflow. It feels like you can finally breathe. But then fall comes and the leaves start dropping. You start losing people you thought would be with you forever, losing things you thought you couldn't live without. But hear me, it's not death, it's transition. And then winter hits. Cold, quiet, uncomfortable, no movement, no fruit, no crowd cheering you on. But winter is where God does His deepest work, underground where nobody sees. Roots don't grow in the spotlight, they grow in the dark. And if you can trust God through every single season, you'll discover that the spring is sweeter because of the winter you survived. And I know somebody right now feels like you're in that winter season. It's cold, it's lonely, and you're asking God, where are you? But let me encourage you, winter is not death, it's development. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean God isn't moving. In fact, the greatest growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens underground. Think about a tree. Its roots don't stretch deepest in the sunshine, they stretch deepest in the storm. Winter is when God is making you stronger, tougher, unshakable. Winter teaches you how to pray when nobody's listening, how to worship when nobody's watching, how to trust when nothing makes sense. And maybe the reason God has you in this quiet season is because He's preparing you for the weight of the next one. If He gave it to you too soon, you wouldn't be ready. But winter is proof that He's building you privately before He blesses you publicly. And then there's fall, that season where things start falling off. And it hurts because you thought those people, those jobs, those opportunities would be with you forever. But hear me, family, fall is not failure, it's pruning. God is cutting away what you don't need so you can carry what He's about to give. See, sometimes we cry over the leaves, but we forget the leaves were never the tree. They were only temporary, meant to cover you for a season, not to stay forever. And here's the truth. If God doesn't remove it, you'll try to carry it into your next season, and it'll weigh you down. That's why certain friendships end, certain doors close, certain habits get uncomfortable, because God knows you can't walk into your destiny carrying dead weight. So instead of mourning what fell off, start thanking God that He cared enough to prune you. Because if he's cutting, it means he's clearing space for new fruit to grow. And let's be real, one of the hardest seasons to trust God in is the season of delay. You prayed, you believed, you fasted, you worked, and it still hasn't happened yet. And the enemy whispers, "See, God forgot about you." But I came to tell you, delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it won't. Sometimes God slows you down, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Think about it. What if he gave you the blessing too soon, before your character could handle it? What if he opened the door before your roots were strong enough to stand in the room? Delay is God's way of developing you, of stretching your faith, of building muscles you didn't even know you had. The wait is not wasted. It's working something in you. So the next time it feels like heaven is silent, don't confuse silence with absence. God isn't ignoring you. He's preparing you for what's already yours. And then there's that sting we all know too well: rejection. You didn't get the job. The relationship ended, the door slammed in your face, and it cuts deep. But what if I told you rejection is really redirection? See, we cry over the doors that closed, not realizing God was protecting us from a hallway we were never meant to walk down. That, no, wasn't to hurt you, it was to help you. Some of the greatest blessings in your life are the ones God blocked. Think about it. If they had stayed, you might have settled. If that job had said yes, you might have stopped growing. If that opportunity had worked out, you might have missed your destiny. Rejection feels like loss in the moment, but when you look back, you'll see it was God's hand guiding you to something greater. So instead of asking, "Why did they leave?" start saying, "Thank you, Lord, for leading me." Because if they walked away, they weren't part of where God was taking you. And I know loss cuts deeper than almost anything else. Losing a loved one, losing a dream, losing stability, it feels like your whole world just collapsed. But hear me, loss is not the end. Loss is the setup for greater. Sometimes God has to let certain things fall apart so he can put the right things together. That's why Job could lose everything, family, fortune, friends, and still declare, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him," because Job understood that what's taken can't compare to what God can restore. And some of you have been grieving over what walked out, but you don't even realize it created the space for something better to walk in. What you thought was subtraction was really God making room for multiplication. And the very thing you cried over is the same thing you'll thank God for when you see what he brings next. And that's the heart of trust right there. It's not about seeing the outcome. It's about believing the one who already holds the outcome. Faith isn't a roadmap where you see every turn ahead. Faith is a step-by-step walk with a God who knows the way even when you don't. Think about Abraham. God said, "Leave your country, your family, your father's house, and go to a land I will show you. He didn't even give him the address. But Abraham trusted the God of the promise more than the details of the plan. And that's where some of us struggle. We want the blueprint, but God just gives us the next step. Because if he showed you the whole picture, you'd try to control it. Trust me in saying, God, I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't even know why, but I know you. And if I know you, that's enough, because you've never lost a battle, never broken a promise, never failed a child who put their hope in you. And that's what gives me peace, because seasons change, but God doesn't. People change, jobs change, your emotions change, but God remains the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. His consistency is your anchor. See, if his love was based on your performance, it would have run out a long time ago. If his grace had an expiration date, you'd have been done by now. But he's the same God in the valley that he is on the mountain, the same God in the tears, that he is in the laughter, the same God in your midnight that he is in your morning. That's why you can trust him, because while everything else in life shifts, he is steady. When the ground beneath you feels shaky, he's the rock. When everything around you feels unstable, he's the foundation. And if God has been faithful in every past season, what makes you think he won't be faithful in this one? And this is where real faith shows up. Not the kind that only praises when the sun is shining, but the kind that says, God, I trust you anyway. Even if the healing doesn't come when I want it, I trust you anyway. Even if the relationship doesn't work out, I trust you anyway. Even if the dream takes longer than I planned, I trust you anyway. That's the kind of faith that moves heaven. The kind that doesn't depend on circumstances, but stands on conviction. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego told the king, our God is able to deliver us. But even if he doesn't, we still won't bow. That's, I trust you anyway. Faith. And that's what God is looking for. People who will declare, Lord, I don't just trust you in the victory. I trust you in the valley. I don't just trust you in the gain. I trust you in the loss. I don't just trust you in the sunshine. I trust you in the storm. Because when you trust him anyway, you give him permission to turn every season, good, bad, or ugly, into a testimony of his power.